Turkish Air Force Museum at the old Ataturk Airport. It's been 20 years since I've been here, and it looks like they've got some nice new exhibits. It's a Saturday morning, nice and quiet, so I'm going to have a very nice visit to this lovely Turkish Air Force Museum. Looking forward to it very much. The Turkish Air Force operated 110 C-47s between 1946-47, and the last one was phased out in 1998. And yeah, here's an example of one. This aircraft was acquired according to the plaque in 1946. Looking beautiful in the Turkish Air Force colors. They were used apparently in the Cyprus conflict, and were a very trusty and reliable transport during their many decades of service with the Turkish Air Force. Very beautiful aircraft. Very nice. This is the sign that accompanies this C-47. And there it is. It says this was delivered in November of '46 and has been on display at the museum since 1985. Very interesting. This is a Turkish Air Force Dornier 28 Sky Servant, and these were added to the Turkish Air Force in 1970. This particular airplane arrived at the museum in 1998. They were used for light transport duties. And here's the sign for this aircraft. Yeah, 15 passengers, purchased in 1970. And as I said, this particular example has been on display here since 1989. Behind me is the indoor part of the exhibit. It's actually closed today due to renovations, but the nice thing is we're able to visit all the aircraft outside, so it's going to be fun. I'm very happy to be here. This is the showpiece at the main entrance. As you can see, the main road. And as you can see here, there's Ataturk's signature on the airplane. So this is the F-104G Starfighter, and a very interesting history. It's actually Canadian built. Turkey received their Starfighters as part of aid support from the Canadian military. Apparently 287 Starfighters were delivered and operational between 1963 and 1994, and the F-104s were retired in '94. This particular aircraft was delivered August the 16th, 1964, and the aircraft served in Cyprus combat missions in 1964 and 1974. Yeah, it's nice to see Canadian-built aircraft here. Fantastic. This gives a good eagle's eye view of the collection. There's some very neat airplanes here. We can explore them all. It's a very nice collection. DC-3, T-33, F-4 Phantom Tracker. Wow. F-5 Huey. Says that Turkey operated 196 F-16s. And this one was assembled here in Turkey. And this particular plane had an accident in 2001. It's been at the museum here since 2009. Incredible, yeah. Went into service in '87. And as I say, 196 F-16s are in service here in Turkey. That's it. F-16. And this is a Turkish Air Force F-5, or commonly known as the F-5. Painted in the colors of the Turkish aerial display team. So Turkey had a fleet of 31 NF-5s, and they were delivered from the Dutch Air Force apparently. And this airplane has been here at the museum since 2001 and went into service with the Turkish Air Force in 1992. But the very first NF-5s were delivered back in 1989. And it says all of the NF5s came from Holland. Looks good in the Turkish national display team colors. Here's another NF5, also same information as the last one. Looking good. So this is an RT-33, which has been modified for photo reconnaissance. Camera gear in the bulbous nose, and apparently it's a two-seat T-33 in the back. Is the seat was replaced with photo gear. So yeah, this is an RT-33. And there's the information. It says it's a two-seat, converted to camera operations, 1954, delivered to Turkey in 55, the very first. And the RT-33s were decommissioned by Turkey in 1993. And this particular RT-33 came from the French Air Force. It was military aid. Came to Turkey in 2004. Yeah, look at the nose on that. So 182 F-4Es have been in service with the Turkish Air Force since 1974. And a number of aircraft are still in service with the Turkish Air Force. Apparently, 54 of them were modified in 2020, brought up to current standards by the Israeli Air Force. So I guess they have new avionics, and they've been very significantly upgraded. So yeah, beautiful. Turkish Air Force F-4E. This airplane was added from the U.S. Air Force in 1991, and it served for 10 years. It was retired in 2001. Shark's mouth, beautiful shark's mouth. And here's the plaque. There you go, there's all the information. So, yeah. No, it said in 1997, 54 F-4Es were modernized under agreement with Israel. And then they were renamed F-4E Terminator 2020s. Beautiful. Great lineup here. Beautiful. Another F-4E. Between 1956 and 1980, 69 RF-84s were in service with the Turkish Air Force. This particular machine was delivered in 1958. It's been at the museum here since 1985. And here's the information plate. Yeah, it's been at the museum here since October 85. 108 RF-84Fs were in service between 1959 and 1975. This is one of them. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's an F-84F, not an RF-84F. It's an F-84F. And as I say, the type entered service in 1959. And 108 were in service until they were finally retired in 1975. Between 1954 and 1968, 108 Canadair, Canadian-built F-84Es were in service with the Turkish Air Force. This aircraft has been here at the museum since '85, so I guess that's when they opened the museum in 1985. Nice color scheme on it. And I'll show you the info plate for those of you that would like to get all the good information. It's right there. Here's another RF-84F. This particular one went into service with the Turkish Air Force in 1958. Served until 1980. And there's a general view of the lineup here. All these great 1950s generation fighter jets, looking really good. Beautiful view of a Turkish Air Force F-102 Delta Dagger. And I like the many of the aircraft, they've put Kemal Atatürk's signature on the aircraft. I don't know if that's authentic to the scheme. I doubt it, but it is a very nice and respectful touch. Yeah, so there you go. Turkish Air Force F-102 with F-100s sitting beside it there. Beautiful. Beautiful three-quarter view. Color scheme detail. We go up to the information plaque, see what it says. See what move myself out of the shadow there. It says built in 1953. Between 1968 and 79, 40 F-102s were in service with the Turkish Air Force. As like the other aircraft, they were involved in the Cyprus conflict. And the last of the inventory were decommissioned in 1979. It does say this aircraft entered service in 79. So when the last one was retired is not... Well, then in the paragraph above, it says that the F-102s were decommissioned in 79, so I think they've got a typo. This particular airplane couldn't have been delivered in 79. Interesting. Here we have an F-100. Camo scheme, camouflage. Tail number 54-2089. So built or procured by the original purchaser from the manufacturer in 1954. That's when it was built, or procured, I should say. Let's have a look at the info plate. The info plate does say that entered service, the F-100Cs entered service in 1972. 111 of them were in service between 1972 and 1988, apparently. It's a good looking airplane for sure. Very good looking aircraft. Oh, this DC-3 or C-47 is looking very nice in the Turkish Air Force colors. Gorgeous. Stunning, actually. I'd like to have a model of that. Here's another F-105 in the bare metal scheme, tail number 42245. We'll go check out the info on it right now. This is an F-100D. The first units operated with the Turkish Air Force starting in 1958. And between 1958 and 1988, 106 F-106Ds were in service with the Turkish Air Force. And this particular airplane's been at the museum since 1991, and I'll show you the information plate so people can read it at their leisure. So here we have a beautiful F-104. Probably another Canadair, Canadian-built aircraft. And the nice camo scheme with the day-glow tip tanks. Looks cool. So this is an F-104S single-seat version. Apparently 40 F-104Ss were in service with the Turkish Air Force between 1974 and 1994. And this particular aircraft entered the service in 1975. So lasted about 20 years in service, and this aircraft's been at the museum since 2004. Here we have two Turkish Air Force T-34 Mentors. One in the yellow scheme, one in the blue scheme. Take your pick. Another nice view of the yellow one. The blue one. Apparently the T-34 went into service with the Turkish Air Force in 1956. And they had, how many did they have in service? Looks like they had 24 in service up until 1993. Between 1963 and 2012, 50 T-37s were in service with the Turkish Air Force. Nice color scheme. And here's the info plate. It's been at the museum since 2002. And the T-37s were retired in 2012. Phantom. is an RF-4E. And here we've got a tracker, Grumman tracker, looking really nice in the Turkish Air Force colors. And there's our DC-3, our C-47. Yeah, S2E tracker. Between 1972 and 1996, 30 S2E trackers were in service with the Turkish Air Force and Turkish Navy. And I'll show the nameplate for historical reference. And we can refer to this anytime. Beautiful C-47. Wow. And the nameplate, the info plate is right here. There we go. It says 110 C-47s were in service with the Turkish Air Force between 1946 and 1998. Polish-built aircraft. Looks nice. Everything looks nice in the Turkish Air Force colors, in my opinion. There's Dorniers in the background there. So there we go, it's a Wilga. Between 1981 and 1999, there were between 6 and 8 Wilgas in service with the Turkish Aeronautical Association. This aircraft's been in the museum since the year 2000. And wow, here we have it. DC-4, C-54, look at this. Looking gorgeous in the Turkish Air Force colors. Magnificent. First of all, let's do the nameplate on it. Where's the nameplate? Right there. And what do they say? This particular plane was built in 42, long distance military transport. And says between 59 and 73, there were 2 C-54Ds in service with the Turkish Air Force, of which this is one. This particular plane's been on display here at the museum since '85, which is when the museum opened, and the C-54s were decommissioned in 1973. Oh, it looks amazing. Wow. Very hard to beat a DC-4 or C-54. Looks fantastic. Too bad we can't go inside it today. That would have been amazing. There we go, 3/4 rear view for the modelers in the house. Looks good. As I say, just right around the corner, we've got the Dornier collection. 1, 2, 3, 4 Dorniers here. I'll show them to you. So for the big transports, we've got this Istanbul Airlines Caravel. We've got a Transall, which looks like we can go in. And the pride of the collection, the Turkish Air Force Viscount. Look at that. Gorgeous. Too bad we can't go inside the Viscount. It looks good. Well, unfortunately, we can't go inside the Istanbul Airlines Caravel. That's a bit of a bummer. But we can go inside the Transall, so I'm gonna head over there right now and have a look inside. Let's have a look. No. Oh, wow. steps heading up to the cockpit. And it has that old airplane smell. Wow. Fantastic. But the smell in here is just terrific. Wow. It's like a Hercules in here. You've got the bunk, just like the Hercules. You come up the stairs, bunk, 2 observer seats, and the pilot seats. Really interesting. Wow. It's definitely got a lot of similarities to the Hercules. A lot of Hercules similarities. Big airplane, big airplane. Well, here I am inside the cockpit of the Turkish Air Force Transall. And what immediately struck me was the smell. When you go inside this airplane, it's like the smell of being inside a Nimrod or a Comet or a Vulcan or a Victor. There's some kind of smell. I don't know if it's the lubricants, but it's old airplane smell. And I experienced it at museums in England and even at the Bruntingthorpe open house when I got to be on board the live taxi of the various aircraft, including the Comet and Nimrod. It had this same smell. Very interesting. It's not like paint fumes or gasoline. I think it's lubricants, but it's very unique. Apparently 20 Transalls were delivered to the Turkish Air Force starting in 1970-71. And here we are in the year 23, and there's still a few Transalls still in service. I believe they're based at Kayseri Airport. If you're going to Cappadocia, you'll be able to see some of these aircraft parked on the ramp at Kayseri. Yeah, it's fascinating. It's very much reminding me of a Hercules in here, C-130.
Yapanların en enişte. Fifideden çok atlamış bunlardan aşağıya.
You can see the spoilers on the wing there. Here we have a Beech 18. I believe it's a Beech AT-18, but we're going to go check the plate, verify that. It's actually a Beech AT-11 Kansan. That's what they call it here in Turkey. This particular plane was built in 1942, and they were operated between 1948 and 1983 by the Turkish Air Force. And they had 127 of these in service. That is amazing. 127. Incredible. This particular plane was delivered in 1948. Wow. And yeah, the fleet was decommissioned. The last of the fleet was decommissioned in 1983. Yeah, the Turkish Air Force color scheme is quite simplistic. Just a small red cheat line above the windows and the national insignia on the tail with a fin number right there. But yeah, it looks good. Looks very, very nice. Of course, we've got the Viscount to see as well. Here's another fine view of the AT-11, Beech AT-11 Kansan, as they call it here. And right across the tarmac, look at that. Turkish Air Force Viscount, my favorite. It's beautiful. Between 1958 and 1980, 18 Chickasaws were in service with the Turkish Air Force. Looks good. And of course, here is the beautiful Turkish Air Force Vickers Viscount 700. Used to go to England for overhaul in the 1980s. So I do know it was active up until the mid-1980s, and we'll check the info plate shortly, but isn't that beautiful? Turkish Air Force Vickers Viscount 700. It might have been delivered new to them from the factory. It's very possible. So as we can see, 52-7577, the 52 designates that 1952 was the year this was ordered by I guess the original US Air Force inventory batch number. Well, yeah, the order inventory was placed in 52. But a beautiful looking Chickasaw. Absolutely gorgeous. Stunning, actually. I'm just observing the beauty of the Viscount, crouched down, studying the fine lines of the Viscount 700. Absolutely magnificent. Such a treat to see this, even though it's here in a museum. Well, there are no operating Viscounts in the world, but this is gorgeous. Look at it. Front profile, I like how they've lined up the props. Prop blades are all vertical and horizontal at 90 degrees. There's the unit badge. Boy, could you imagine having a flight on this? It's like from a different world. Rolls-Royce Dart engines, square tip blades. There we go, look at that. The registration is backwards, as was sometimes done. It's interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. And here it is. The Vickers Viscount. Let's have a look here. They've got stairs up to it, but unfortunately we can't go in. What a shame. Yeah. Just general view from the rear of the Viscount. We've got the Istanbul Caravel, the C-54. There's the Tracker and the DC-3. It's a really nice museum. Not crowded either. Well, I've really enjoyed my visit to the Istanbul Air Force Aviation Museum here at the old Ataturk Airport. If you want to reach this museum, it's easy to do. You just have to take the Marmara line out to the Yeşilyurt subway station, and then you can just make about a 15-minute walk and you're here. So it's easy to reach here from central Istanbul via the metro. Of course, you can take a taxi here as well. The old fly-in shopping center is just around the corner, but the Yeşilyurt metro station is your easiest bet. And 200 Turkish lira is the admission if you're a yabancı, non-Turkish like myself, but it's well worth it. So definitely recommend it. Where else can you see a beautiful Turkish Airlines Viscount 700? Magic. If you're an aircraft display model collector like myself and you have a big fascination with the Vickers Viscount, there are very, very few models that get the body to wing fairing correct. I don't think there's any models that actually depict it accurately, but this here, just with the light and the paint, we're able to have a very good visual as to exactly how the fairing, you can see how the fairing just kind of comes to a pointy bit right there and comes off the wing and joins the fuselage, but it's very, very cool to see this. Really neat. This is it. That's the fairing. You can see how it kind of wraps up. Isn't that neat? Very cool. And underneath the starboard wing, we've got the national insignia, as you can see. Beautiful. Just stunning. Here's our nice and chunky Dart engine. They're actually metal strapped to the ground so they don't windmill. Okay, I'm reading the plaque here, the information plaque on the aircraft, and what it says is that the Turkish Air Force operated 3 former Turkish Airlines Viscounts. They were delivered in '58, and the Turkish Air Force took them over in 1971, and the last of them was retired in 1993, so that late. Yeah, they were just one of the last operators of the Vickers Viscount, and just about 5 years before the last of the English Viscounts retired. So yeah, 1993. And they do say that the Vickers Viscount as a type was quite famous because in 1959, a Turkish Airlines Viscount TCSEV crashed on February the 17th, 1959 with ex-Prime Minister Adnan Menderes on board, and 14 people were killed, although 7 people were injured, including Adnan Menderes, and he survived the accident. So some interesting history on Turkish Airlines Viscounts, and we'll do the screenshot here so that we have this preserved. Here's a good view of the Caravel. Fortunately, the engines have been removed, but most of the airplane still sits here and provides shade on a nice hot day like today. So now I can show the various Dornier aircraft, as there's nobody else here, just myself. Dornier 28. I'll give the, there's the info plate for posterity. Yeah, this is the Dornier collection. And this is another Sky Servant. Another Sky Servant right there. There's the Dornier 28. And there's another Dornier right here. Looking good. Dornier 27 actually. There's the info plate. And that's it, the Dornier 27. And then we also have a, what's that, a Citabria, I think, and a Cessna 150 or Cessna 172. Yeah, Belanca Citabria. And last but not least is the Cessna. What is that? A Cessna Skywagon. They call it a U-17A Skywagon. Right there. I hope you've enjoyed my tour of the Istanbul Aviation Museum. If you did, I'd appreciate your liking the video. Perhaps you could leave a comment. I'd love to see your comments. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Thanks again, and if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks again. Planning to visit the Istanbul Aviation Museum, you're going to take the Marmara line out from central Istanbul, and you're going to get off at this station. This is the Yeşilyurt station, and from here it's about a 15-minute walk to the main gate of the Aviation Museum. I suggest you have a look at the map before you leave, or of course have a map open on your phone when you arrive here. But it's an easy walk, 10 to 15 minutes from here to the main gates of the Aviation Museum.